Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, good afternoon. I am Bakarr Bangura with News Hour. Coming up in this edition, Parliamentary Undersecretary of State of the Department for International Development assures President Ernest by KOROMA of the agency's commitment to Sierra Leone's development, especially the energy sector. A 4-day regional conference on the Global Environmental Facility Expanded Constituency Program gets underway at the Radisson Blu Hotel Aberdeen in Freetown. United Nations Resident Coordinator in Sierra Leone says effective functioning of democratic institutions is important to the United Nations Development Program, and SLBC looks at the operation of the KAMAKWIE Wesleyan Hospital. All the stories and more, including business and sports news, lined up here in this edition of News Hour begins right now. Well, and now for our first story this afternoon, the Parliamentary Undersecretary of State at the Department for International Development, Nick Hart, has assured President Ernest by KOROMA of the agency's commitment to Sierra Leone's development, especially in the energy sector. The assurance was given to President Ernest by KOROMA when the Undersecretary of State at the Department of International Development called on him at State House. Razia Bashkamara sent in this report, read in the studios by Daphne Zainab Kamara.
Who was appointed as a Parliamentary Undersecretary of State at the Department for International Development, and he's been in that position since the 20th of November 2015. He previously served as a Minister for Civil Society from May 2010 until July 2014.
Speaking on the purpose of his visit, Mr. Nick Hart extended warm wishes from his Secretary of State, Justin Greening. He informed the President that the relationship with the Secretary of State is strong and she remains extremely committed to see through the commitments they have made to His Excellency the President and the people of Sierra Leone. The Undersecretary of State reaffirmed that Justin Greening remains so committed to Sierra Leone, having seen how significant the President handled the Ebola crisis. He disclosed that his presence is to restate that commitment and to hold talks with President KOROMA and his ministers.
To see for myself what is going on and to think harder about our support and where we can help. There's barely a day goes past when Sally's office doesn't send me up a new business case to approve in relation to Sierra Leone, whether it be in education or in water, energy, roads, various fields where we're looking to support you.
Welcoming the Undersecretary of State and team, President KOROMA thanked him and the Secretary of State for the support DFID has provided and her personal interest in what has been going on in Sierra Leone. The President also thanked the government and the people of the United Kingdom for the support that has been provided to the country over the years. He maintained that whenever there is a difficult moment for the country and whenever things want to go down, Britain always come in with their rescue package, which has helped Sierra Leone, the most recent one, the Ebola support. President KOROMA pointed out that the help from Britain has enhanced the efforts of government, and now that Ebola is behind them, they are now in the recovery program. The President revealed that government has been engaged with DFID in any step of the way throughout the process, and they have supported the government fully, even at the time they were preparing the recovery programs. He affirmed that they have, as a government, completed the 6 to 9 month recovery program, and to a great extent they have validated it, and although it's not 100% success, they have made substantial progress in meeting the goals that they set themselves.
Now, I must say that without the support of DFID, we would not have gotten to this position in terms of everything, so we're very, very grateful. In the programs, we have we have clearly identified the sectors that we have to concentrate on. In the 6 to 9 months, it was very clear. It was health, education, the social protection, and getting our people back to business, promoting the private sector through interventions in the agricultural sector and the businesses. Progress was made there. We have learned the lessons from Ebola. We know that there has been some work in the health sector, but we need to make it more robust. We clearly have to build in the systems, make them more efficient. The facilities, we have to re-equip them and even expand their presence so that we can increase the penetration. We have to build the capacity of our people. More so for those that have been affected by this Ebola. We now have cases of survivors that need to be reintegrated. We have to address the issues of stigmatization. We have to also address their health issues, the effects of Ebola that we are still not too clear, because we have not done a complete study to know the long-term effects. I mean, so things as they crop up, you have new cases that you require to react to, and I think it will take us a while for us to go through the circle to know that this is it and this is the end of it. So these are issues that we have to continue to grapple with as we move along. So
Still with the presidency, the Chief Executive Officer of the British charity Save the Children International held Thomas Schmidt, accompanied by the Minister of Social Welfare, Gender and Trans Affairs, Dr. Sylvia Blyden, has also paid a courtesy call on President Ernest by KOROMA at State House. Razia Bashkamara again.
Very nice to meet you. Nice to see you.
Briefing the President, the Chief Executive Officer, Save the Children International, Madam Thorning-Smith, informed President KOROMA that they are based in Sierra Leone to help and to support him on any issue he would want to achieve, and thanked him for his cooperation.
Also, the cooperation we have with the Minister, I think that we're on to a very, very good working relationship and partnership. And also just want to hear how you see things now, and how we can add value to the endeavors that you are embarking on over the next many months, coming out of the crisis and building up this country.
Welcoming the Chief Executive Officer, President KOROMA said he will not stop thanking her for the visits she made to Sierra Leone during a very difficult period, which he said gave confidence to other leaders to come in and give government support. The President noted with satisfaction that the country is out of Ebola now, but he lamented that it has been a very difficult period for the government and nation. The President, however, stated that they still have the effects of Ebola living with them, and they have been reacting by putting programs in place. He intimated the Chief Executive Officer that government has put in place the immediate recovery program of 6 to 9 months, and they are now on the verge of starting their 10 to 20 months recovery program. President KOROMA pointed out that as a government, in 6 to 9 months, they prioritized the health sector, education, the social protection, by taking care of those that have been infected, those affected, and building the private sector by supporting activities in the agricultural sector and businesses. The President pointed out that Save the Children over the period has been very supportive, for which they must commend them, and that they have also been playing a role in the Ebola efforts and also in the psychosocial support that has been provided in few of the country's districts, including where it all started, Kailang.
In the 6 or 9 months, we prioritize the health sector, education, the social protection, that is taking care of those that have been infected and those that are affected. And we are trying to build the private sector by supporting activities in the agricultural sector and the businesses. But Save the Children over the period have been supportive, and we must commend you for that. You also have been playing a role in our Ebola efforts, and also in the psychosocial support that have been provided in a few of our districts, including where it all started, areas of possible interventions. And we have reopened the schools, and of course they will also require support in their schooling. Schools will also require support in ensuring that they maintain a school environment that is safe and healthy for the kids. So these are the areas of intervention that we are looking at, and these are, I believe, these fall in line with your own areas of support, and which we will want to collaborate with you strongly so that we can move on with those, especially as we are now coming on with the 10 to 24 months. And we now have a new minister in place, and she has come up with a new ideas on how to approach the whole issue to make it more effective. Because at the end of the day, we want to see more results out there. And if we achieve that, we would have done a service to our people, and I believe that the fight against Ebola would have been completed fully.
Well, here is a press release from State House. The President has noticed with grave concern that in recent months, representatives of various organizations, groups of stakeholders have on several occasions assembled outside the precinct of State House to register protest over the handling of pertinent issues by government ministries, departments, and agencies. It should be noted that such protests have a disruptive influence on the peace and quiet of the presidency. Quite apart from that fact, those who organize such protests do not obtain prior approval from the Sierra Leone police. The targeting of State House as their first port of call is unacceptable. They should first seek redress from the sectoral ministries, departments, and agencies, or government within those competence the matter lies. The general public is thereby informed that with immediate effect, the staging of protests outside the precinct of State House is strictly prohibited. Anyone who contravenes this order will face the full force of the law. This is News Hour Live on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. Now to another story we are following here this afternoon. The KAMAKWIE Wesleyan Hospital has been providing medical care to about 7 chiefdoms in the BOMBALI district and beyond. The hospital is strategically located in the township of KAMAKWIE. SLBC visited the hospital to see the level of development that has been done. The KAMAKWIE Wesleyan Hospital was established by the United States missionaries some 56 years ago with the aim of meeting the medical needs of people. The hospital addresses the needs of a number of chiefdoms in the BOMBALI district, Kambia, Tonkolimba, Kabala, and Guinea. In the 70s, the hospital was the only referral center in the district, and the entire northern region has been able to rescue the lives of many people, improving the health sector. The hospital has provided a number of facilities, training of nurses, and sent them for advanced medical training such as SCCHN, SRN, and CHO. The hospital is also providing medical eye care to people suffering from cataracts as they came from all over the township and nearby villages and every neighboring Guinea for effective eye care. Because of the effective and reliable medical attention, patients came from other parts of the country to access medical care and support as well. The General Superintendent of the Wesleyan Mission Sierra Leone, Reverend Dr. Usman Jess Ifona, told SLBC that the KAMAKWIE Wesleyan Hospital serves over 200,000 people in the northern region and the south of Guinea annually. He said even though there are challenges in running the hospital, staff have been so committed and dedicated to their work in providing support to patients, as 98% of the community have access to the hospital.
Because one of the good things that we did from the days of the missionaries that we never send out anybody that comes to the hospital. If you have the money to pay, we treat you. If you don't have the money to pay, we also provide treatment for you. The unique thing about the KAMAKWIE Hospital, unlike many other hospitals in the country, is that when you come to the KAMAKWIE Wesleyan Hospital, nobody asks you for money.
Okay.
They'll screen you, they'll get you admitted, you get all of the treatment that you need. It is at the end of your treatment, when they are convinced and persuaded that you are completely healed, that is the time they give you a bill. If you are able to pay, they take the money from you. If you are not able to pay, they let you go.
50% of patients in the area are poor, don't have the finances to pay for their medication and meet their needs. The hospital has a project to support them by paying fees to people that cannot afford. Even though it's a mission hospital, under 5s are treated free of charge, lactating mothers and pregnant women as well. Eye diseases such as glaucoma and cataracts are prevalent, according to an eye specialist, Annette de Souza, who is on a voluntary service, said for the past 17 years, no eye care has been provided. She said they are trying to develop the eye care unit as patients were not serviced properly in the past.
It certainly is. I mean, there are a lot of things that perhaps people would not have gone blind had it been caught earlier, let's say with glaucoma. With cataracts, for instance, there are people blind and it is a totally preventable and actually not just not so much preventable, but reversible blindness if they had access to an eye center. And that's what we hope to succeed with, because so many of these people have been completely dependent on relatives and that kind of thing for years, unable. Last year there was a young woman who went blind just after the birth of her child, and had never really seen her child, and after she had the cataract removed she could actually see her child. So there are lots of things like that that make us feel there's a huge need here.
The team from Canada came with all the required equipment needed for the eye surgery. People came in their large numbers for eye care. The KAMAKWIE Wesleyan Hospital can now boast of an ultrasound machine donated by World Hope International. Taken on a conducted tour of the hospital, the Chief Medical Officer of the KAMAKWIE Wesleyan Hospital, Dr. Mfa Alisisi, said with support from non-governmental organizations, installed a 150-watt system that now provides electricity to the hospital's ward and solar panels. He said being the only medical doctor, his work is difficult as patients keep coming into the hospital on a daily basis. He appealed to the government to provide subvention for workers and to make available medical doctors to run the hospital.
Well, more funding, and we need more staff very urgently. We have an obstetric ward of over 30 beds, run by only 2 midwives.
With the Ebola outbreak, the hospital played a pivotal role in the prevention and control of the disease. He said all suspects were from checkpoints and from quarantine homes. SLBC News, Bakarr Bangura reporting. A 4-day regional conference on the Global Environmental Facility Expanded Constituency Program has gone underway at Radisson Blu Hotel Aberdeen in Freetown. The Expanded Constituency Forum provides for national focal points, convention focal points, and other stakeholders for active engagement on global environmental issues. Sheikh Ismaila has the rest of the story.
Chair of 8 countries that are part of the Global Environment Facility Program, which are Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia, and Sierra Leone in the Anglophone bloc, and Togo, Ivory Coast, Benin, and Guinea in the Francophone bloc. These 8 countries are in this constituency, of which Sierra Leone is providing leadership. This places the country in a strategic position to put across environmental challenges facing this nation. The chairman of this regional meeting, Professor Victor Strasser-King, said the Global Environment Facility provides a global funding mechanism for countries to take measures for better management of their environment. He said countries under the Western Bloc will have the opportunity to synergize for collective approaches in addressing environmental issues.
Today, we are assembled in Sierra Leone for another expanded constituency workshop, following Sierra Leone's assumption of the chair of the GF West Coast constituency, which represents constituency members at the GEF Council. We are honored to host you and hope your stay shall be memorable.
And environmental expert Dr. Mohamed Bakarr said the forum is an opportunity for countries to discuss programs and challenges in the work of GEF, and that it is for countries to understand one another for better collective approach to GEF policies and procedures. The Minister of Political and Public Affairs, Nanette Thomas, said the rising global temperatures have been accompanied by changes in weather and climate, and that many places have seen changes in rainfall resulting in more floods, droughts, or intense rain, as well as more frequent and severe heat waves. She, however, said that countries can reduce the risk from climate change by making choices that reduce greenhouse gases.
The evidence is clear. Rising global temperatures have been accompanied by changes in weather and climates. Many places have seen changes in rainfall, resulting in more floods, droughts, or intense rain, as well as more frequent and severe heat waves. The planet's oceans and glaciers have also experienced some big changes. Oceans are warming and becoming more acidic. Ice caps are melting and sea levels are rising.
The executive chairperson of EPA, Jatu Jallo, said GEF is a financing mechanism to mitigate environmental degradation. She said that the forum will provide a platform for active engagement on strategies and policies, and also strengthen coordination and harmonization of policies. The forum, she said, is an opportunity for focal points to meet with their counterparts from other countries in the region and other GEF partners to discuss and review policies and procedures, and to share lessons and experience from development and implementation of GEF projects and their integration within national policy frameworks. She said that the magnitude of environmental challenges is far greater than predicted, and these range from environmental degradation, biodiversity loss, waste management, and chemical pollution, adding that GEF has been one of the key financing mechanisms supporting nations to address these challenges.
The essence of this meeting is to provide a platform where all the focal points, GEF focal points, will meet, discuss, share experiences, get a greater understanding of the GEF strategies, policies, and programs, so
Reporting for SLBC News, I'm Sheku Smaila.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Security, in collaboration with the International Labour Organization, has organized a national dialogue forum on the Future of Work initiative in Sierra Leone. The aim of the forum is to chart the way forward to provide decent jobs for citizens in the country. Francis Danema has the story.
And technical vocational schools are turning out thousands of graduates every year in Sierra Leone, yet many find it difficult to get decent jobs. The National Dialogue Forum is aimed at looking at the future of work in Sierra Leone and provide recommendations that can match with the growing demand for decent jobs and globalization. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Labour and Social Security, Charles Commander, says every human being at some stage in life requires some form of work to earn a living for him or her and family. With growing demand for decent jobs in developing countries, the Permanent Secretary went on, policymakers should step up and develop policies and courses that can work with the job market. At the 104th session of the International Labour Conference, according to Charles Commander, it was resolved that member countries should engage in a major initiative focusing on the future of work. International Labour Organization ILO country representative Alvic Davino said ILO is delighted to be part of the dialogue as it can chart the way forward to decent jobs in Sierra Leone. The National Forum added will focus on works and societies, decent jobs and governance of jobs. Chairman and Chief Commissioner, National Commission for Persons with Disability, Freddie Kamara, noted that despite the progress made by the government to improve the standard of living for persons with disability, it is still difficult to get decent jobs for them. This, he added, has made persons with disability to resort to menial jobs or begging. Other speakers underscore the importance of fighting poverty through decent jobs. They pointed out that getting more lucrative jobs should be the center plan of every government. The advancement in technology distresses reducing the number of jobs. These speakers went on should urge all stakeholders to step up and recruit young people who are coming from universities and colleges. Minister of Labour and Social Security, Matthew Timbo, informed the participants that the job market is undergoing major change. He called on ILO and other international bodies to join the ministry to match with the growing demand for decent jobs. The minister said his ministry is not in charge of all recruitment processes in the country.
As you see in other countries, what is the HRMO, the PSC, operating separately from the Ministry of Labour? These three sectors, as the Ministry of Labour, is the umbrella. The HRMO, the PSC, should be under the Ministry of Labour, which is common in other advanced countries. Is that happening in Sierra Leone? If we are to look at how we go to manage and organize labor in Sierra Leone, that should be our focus point. As you are discussing, what is wrong with that? If everybody is in the business of employing, providing employment, but there is no coordination, the Minister of Labour doesn't know how many people the HRMO is employing, PSC employing, agriculture is employing. All of this, there is no coordination.
Presentations were made on the 2014 Labour Force Survey report, status of social protection program in Sierra Leone, and situation of young people with reference to youth employment, among others.
A high-level stakeholders meeting has been organized by the Office of the First Lady to present findings and recommendations from district meetings on the Enhanced Inclusive Quality Education for Girls project. Kojo Kwafu has the story.
The meeting was organized to present the findings of the Strategic Advocacy Girl Child Education Program of the First Lady and the wife of the Vice President. The First Lady, KOROMA, says that the problems girls face in Sierra Leone is not unique and that what matters is the tangible difference we make in Sierra Leone. She stressed on the need for collaboration amongst partners, adding that good parenting is a must.
As parents, and this is a problem globally, because even in America and England, young mothers do not have time with their children. The world is so fast. There is this economic race of jumping from one job onto another. In America, they are moving from one state onto another. Some parents do not even see their children. So there is that gap, that missing link, and the bond is broken. Sociologists or physiologists, psychologists will tell you, you destroy the bonding between your child and yourself. And if that bond is destroyed, the lawyers will tell you that that's why the jails are always full. You'll find them in some families, sort of units, adolescents, behavioral homes. So bonding is important. Parents must have time. And they should be the mentors. The mothers should be the very first mentors. You must role model your family, streamline them into what you want them to become.
Mrs. KOROMA calls on the media to introduce programs about good parenting that would be spread out across the country. In his presentation on the findings and recommendations, Moses Beckley, Program Officer, Office of the First Lady, says that a total of 7 strategic advocacy activities were organized. According to Mr. Beckley, there were findings and recommendations from the community engagements, which include the establishment of junior and secondary schools in each chiefdom, female-only schools, especially boarding schools, the empowerment of paramount chiefs to enforce bylaws, the closure of learning centers, establishment of mentoring clubs in schools, and the need for more role models to help motivate girls, the introduction of family planning lessons in schools, amongst others. The district-level recommendations from Bonth include the appointment of a resident magistrate and female prosecutor in the district to fast-track prosecution of gender-based violence matters. Bo District recommends that family life education be included in the school curriculum and also be given at community levels. They recommend that the Sexual Offences Act of 2012 to be enacted and for the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology to establish committees that will effectively monitor the implementation of girls' education projects. Findings and recommendations from the Northern Regional Engagement Meeting with students and school authorities are that extracurricular activities in schools be reduced or stopped, the downsizing of classes, and for the Teachers' Code of Conduct to be popularized and well explained to teachers and relevant stakeholders. A representative from the Ministry of Social Welfare says that good parenting is a serious problem in Sierra Leone, stressing on the need for parents to be sensitized. She adds that the ministry has several policies, including the child welfare policy, but that they have to work with communities and parents for the full implementation of these policies. The representative from DFID revealed that they recently approved $100 million United States to improve education in Sierra Leone, with a special focus on learning outcomes and the improvement of girls' education, while the UNICEF representative called for adolescent development to be taken seriously and for the voice of girls to be allowed to filter in. Representing the Conference of Principals, Principal Annie Walsh Memorial School, Mrs. Morrison, calls for support with dedicated guidance counselors, as schools prefer to recruit teachers rather than guidance counselors due to the fact that for them, teachers are a priority than guidance counselors. Commissioner Laga suggested that the First Lady calls for a special meeting with the Ministry of Education to address issues around education. Adama Kuruma from the First Lady's Girls Camp suggested that girls be exposed to the contraceptive method of prevention, especially the use of condoms, while Awa Umumansari, also from the First Lady's Girls Camp, requested for special buses for school children. She says that they most times face harassment from the teachers for grades. She complained about exploitation and child labor issues being rampant in school. Hawa Samai from Amnet proposed a suggestion for new ways to mentor parents for them to start counseling and talking to their kids. The KOKER.PRESIDENT, SLBC.
In another development, a popular gospel musical artist, Sinach, has paid a courtesy call on the First Lady Sia Nyama KOROMA at State House. State Lodge, I beg your pardon, but we now bring you highlight of the visit. Well, we apologize, we can't bring you that story for now. Up next is the business news with Yvette Jasco.
Welcome to the business segment of News Hour with me, Yvette Jasco. First, the foreign exchange rate. US dollar buys at 5,984 leones and sells at 6,105 leones. Pound sterling buys at 8,811 leones and sells at 8,991 leones. Euro buys at 6,918 leones and sells at 7,056 leones, courtesy of the United Bank for Africa. SOCFIN Agricultural Company has started production of palm oil for internal and external consumption. The production has made it easier for people within the Malin chiefdom benefits from the company through employment, training opportunities, and scholarship. Here is the reports.
We are here in our concession area. The road you are seeing now is leading to a village called Sembehun. And this bush you're seeing is a green belt that was leased to the company. The company in turn also gave it back to the community of people of Sembehun to make their social functions, where they can make their burial ceremonies, where they can make their funeral ceremony and other things. That is to say that this land was left deliberately to allow them to do their other social works. Then, looking on this side, this was the very historic oil palm. This is the very first oil palm that was planted here. This one where I'm leading you to. This oil palm is the very first oil palm that was planted by SOCFIN Agricultural Company.
The 35,000 acres of land at Malen Chiefdom has produced palm oil, which came out of the palm fruits planted a few years back. The production officer SOCFIN Agriculture Company, Bakarr, underscored the importance of the mill, which he says has produced quality oil that has been rated internationally. Philip Matia is a lab technician.
Although qualities check for both crude palm oil and a kernel. The quality check of crude palm oil will determine the acidity of the palm oil and also the moisture content, that is the amount of water in the CPO, which will also do losses, because we are using this equipment in the mill. We want to determine if they are effective or they are efficient in their performing.
Chairlady of the market women in Malen Chiefdom confirmed that the price of palm oil has dropped drastically within their vicinity, and that the SOCFIN Agricultural Company has also created employment opportunities for members of the chiefdom with the award of scholarships to children in the chiefdom.
Now the company that will pay for them pay until they go college. This company from what it don't come, we have the one great problem. The woman there, with the woman there, we don't see my farm. First time, what would they do? Any market, would they count market collect is a big problem. But from the time where this company can today, from yesterday and today, now today they pay all the 14 distributors all day. All they come for cancer in your business. Even what would they business, what would they sell? Would they pay for thank you from where the company don't come?
And we use 70% fiber, we use 30% shell. That is our fuel.
For the whole of the day?
For the whole day, it's a continuous process. It's like we always make sure the quantity of fiber is more greater than the quantity of the shell. Why? Because we think
The launching of the Energy Revolution program will not only bring electricity to the country, but will also create businesses and improve on the economy. Rural communities will also benefit from this energy revolution, which will eventually lead to business ventures. And that's it in this edition of the business segment of Newshour. My name is Eva Jaskov. Newshour continues.
Well, thank you very much, Eva Jaskov, for the business news this afternoon. Any time from now, we shall be joining Francis Barnard for the sports stories.
Hello and welcome to Sports Updates. I am Francis Banner. In sports, the president of the National Olympic Committee, Dr. Patrick Koker, has said that one of his main objectives as president of the Olympic Committee is to capacitate sports people as much as he can, and that the country's first team will be going to the games in the Gold Coast and Tokyo not only to participate as usual but to compete effectively and efficiently. He made this statement during the closing ceremony of an ITF Level 2 coaching course at the Siaka Stephen Stadium, where Dr. Patrick Koker was earlier on in our studios and he spoke to us.
Well, I think I've said in one or two occasions that I have taken my first couple of years to sort of see what exactly is happening in the sports world. And Glasgow was for me a learning process, and I'm almost sure that Rio is also going to be the same. That is to see what is happening, see what can be done, and to develop a strategy. And I think I have, with my executive, developed a strategy already. And based on that, I could safely say that we're expecting to actually compete come the Commonwealth Games 2018 and the Olympic Games in Tokyo in 2020. What I foresee is that what we've been doing all the time is to train a lot of people. I mean, that has its advantages, but in doing that, we have not actually identified star athletes and people who are going to compete for us. Now, if you take, for example, what has happened in volleyball, I don't know whether you are following up volleyball, you can tell that there were two of those athletes who were star athletes. I mean, they performed well, but because they were in a team, that was why we didn't go further. Now, for me, for example, it would be ideal for us, when we come back, take those two athletes and make sure we train them for 2018 or 2022, either locally or in camps or whatever. Whether it's an attachment, whether it's you know, but if you see what I mean. I mean, that does not mean we are not going to spend on volleyball. That does not mean we are going to spend on volleyball for schools, programs. That does not mean, it means that at the same time, we are going to strategize in terms of training a few people who are star athletes.
Okay, and now you have been in the office of the National Olympic Committee as president for the past 3 years. We want to look at some of the achievements you've made so far, especially when we are talking about sending athletes to competitions and also capacitating people in sports.
Yeah, well, I could safely say that I started off by doing a lot of structural changes, both physical to the building itself and to the administration. In all modesty, I have been exposed to administration, so it wasn't too difficult for me to start on that. I also made it a point of duty to attend all the statutory meetings, because that is where you make contact, that is where you actually exchange ideas with colleagues, with other presidents, and also with the administration. So having done that, it was for me to see how I can implement what we had in mind. And as you rightly say, we tried to make sure that we had enough training programs for our coaches. Now, usually a country gets only 2 programs per year, and we lost 2 because of Ebola, because Sierra Leoneans were not allowed to participate in most of these. But I was able to convince them that let us not lose those 2, but let us carry those 2 forward. And in fact, not only that, but because of the problems we've had, to increase our quota of coach training. And that.
He is Dr. Patrick Coker, President of the National Olympic Committee, where details of that interview will be up in our daily sports programs tomorrow at 11 a.m. Well, this is how we bring the curtain down for sports update on Newshour. I am Frances Barnard.
Well, that was Frances Barnard with the sports update this afternoon. About 10 primary schools in the Lumley community have been supported with learning materials. The president of the Sierra Leone Educational Enrichment Project, University of Texas Chapter Isia Tuba, explained that the move is to enhance the reading culture of pupils and help the school with literature to improve the teaching skills of teachers. We now bring you highlights of that presentation. Well, we apologize for not bringing you that story for now, but to end these are the main points again. The Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State at the Department of International Development, Nick Rod, has assured President Ernest by KOROMA of the agency's commitment to Sierra Leone's development, especially in the energy sector. A 4-day regional conference on the Global Environmental Facility Expanded Constituency Program has gone underway at Radisson Blu, Aberdeen in Freetown. The United Nations Resident Coordinator in Sierra Leone, Sonel Digat, has said effective functioning of democratic institutions is important to the United Nations Development Program. And SLBC looked at the operations of the KAMAKWIE Wesleyan Hospital. Well, that's all in this edition of Newshour broadcast live on the SLBC. On behalf of my news editor Sheikh Ismail and the rest of the team, I am Bakarr Bangura in Freetown. The next edition of Newshour comes up at 9 this evening. Happy viewing and keep watching.
Sierra Leone is always fondly remembered as the image